Hello, everyone. Greg Michlig here, President and CEO at CUInsight.com. And on this episode of Three Questions, it's a pleasure to welcome Janet Loriot, Executive Vice President of Operations at SWBC. Janet, thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. And I'm sure everyone is eager to hear the valuable insights you have to offer. So let's get to those three questions.
Great.
In your view, what are the most pressing challenges financial institutions face in delivering seamless, human-centered service?
I think in today's environment, members have really high expectations. And one of the expectations I think that has shifted more in the past several years since COVID, obviously, is that members are more driven towards self-service, and which is great. It's great for everybody. But that means that they're doing that service right at different times of the day. It's not necessarily in the traditional 9 to 5 time frame. So members are now accessing your digital channels maybe at 7 o'clock in the evening when they've gotten home from work. And at that point, they may run into a problem or an issue or that sort of thing. And they realize that, hey, I need to make a call into the phone center. Well, that's not a traditional time to call into the phone center. So I do feel like customers have more of an expectation now that they are using those digital channels, that when they do need help, they want help now. They don't want help at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. So we are seeing more people that are calling in later in the evening or off hours. And I think that's where SWBC kind of comes in and helps play a part with the credit unions, having staff that will service those members at those odd times of the day that they may need some help. So I think that's one of the big things, the biggest shift I've seen. The other thing I would say that I do see in this market is, especially in the Southeast and maybe in the West, where there are more members in the credit union that are not necessarily English speaking as their first language. So I do feel like we're filling that gap with the Spanish language as well. And that's another area where I feel like SWBC has really been able to help fill the gap because of the fact that we have a contact center in Monterrey of SWBC employees. And so in Monterrey, Mexico, we're really helping to try to fill that gap and have some of our Spanish speaking calls go into that site. And we've got some great people down there. They're bilingual, so they can actually take English speaking calls as well. But I really think that's the gap that it's really helping us with a lot of times is that Spanish language.
That's a great benefit to have, especially just understanding where the communications are throughout both the United States, and many credit unions are serving abroad as well too. So that's good information. And I know from the after hours standpoint, I actually just had to call my credit union's contact center this morning. It was during hours, but I do know what you're saying about you get to after hours and being able to have that ability to call in if something isn't going right with the app or with the home banking, online banking.
Exactly.
It's fantastic to have that service. Based on that, and just talking about consumer behaviors and expectations, so how do you think that has shifted in the past 12 to 14 months? And what implications does that have for contact center design and staffing?
So, it was interesting because you think about back in 2020, right? We all look back at pre-COVID, post-COVID. Pre-COVID, everybody had very high expectations. When I call in the phone center, I want my wait time to be very short, and I want somebody to answer my phone call right now. During COVID, I think there was no choice, right? You kind of had to start using those digital channels, and not necessarily just for your credit union, right? You had to start ordering groceries digitally. Lots of Amazon products we know that we got delivered. So people got much more familiar with self-service and were very comfortable with that. But when they called into the phone center, they knew and expected that average speed of answers were going to be much longer, just because people weren't there to answer the calls. People were having a very difficult time being able to staff their phone centers at that time. But fast forward 5 years, we're kind of back to where we were pre-COVID, I feel like, where the expectations are much more strong that I need a very quick average speed of answer. I want to talk to somebody right now. I want to talk after hours, as the example. I think some of the things that we're doing to kind of help with that in our space are, as an example, a shared queue with the credit union, which is kind of a very new feature that we're piloting right now, where if the credit union has a cloud-based SIP contact center product, we can essentially share a queue. So rather than the credit union getting a call and having to wait 3, 4, 5 minutes before they overflow a call to their vendor, they can look and say, do I have somebody available in my contact center right now? No? Well, let me look and see, does SWBC have somebody available right now? They do? Great. Send that call right now and get that service, get that member service immediately rather than that standard 3 to 5 minute wait. The other thing that I think is kind of helping with this is if you think about it, when you now have digital products that are available to you and you can do self-service, you're going to do that every chance you get because it's immediate. You can do it right now. But then when you do have a challenge and you're calling into the phone center, the type of call that's coming into the phone center is elevated. It's not the easy check my balance any longer. Most of the calls are more complex. And so it's not going to be the very simple question and answer kind of thing. So another thing that we're doing to kind of help in that space is implementing agent assist for our agents. What that allows us to do is to essentially pop knowledge articles to our agents that allow them to, in real time, be able to assist that agent because right at their fingertips, they have that knowledge article that will help them answer that question. So that's really helping, I think, with this new expectation of I need a higher level of service because my questions are going to be more complex and I need faster service. So both of those things, I think, play into that.
You mentioned staffing, Monterrey, Mexico. Yeah, I know that you're located in San Antonio, Texas, and things like
Yes.
that. Just, from a staffing and retention standpoint, I know those remain major concerns. And what
Mhm.
strategies are proving most effective for you in building resilient, high-performing contact center teams?
It's interesting. I think, we're all going to have, the credit unions and SWBC, we're all going to look at things like our training programs, how we hire them, what benefits that we offer and that sort of thing. But one of the other interesting dynamics that's happening now too is just this higher level of expectation of the tools that we're providing to our agents. So I think, the agent assist that I mentioned, that's one more AI-based tool that's kind of helping our agents and making it easier for them to get through a phone call, phone call after phone call, that kind of thing. I would say another tool that we're making available to them to make their jobs a little bit easier is going to be call summarization, where again, in real time, we're going to summarize that call for them so that they can simply cut and paste that summary into the notes of what happened on that call. That makes their lives so much easier because for years, right, I've been in the contact center space for 35 years, and we've always talked about multitasking. Well, it's really hard to multitask when you're starting to get those more complex questions and things like that. So I really do feel like the tools that we're making available to our agents are going to become more of an expectation. We're in that era right now where it's AI everything. So, it's going to continue to elevate everybody's expectations, including the agents in the call center.
Yeah, absolutely. AI is is ubiquitous. It's everywhere right now. It
Yes.
definitely is. So, well, thank you, Janet. It's been a pleasure to connect with you. I really appreciate you taking the time to join me today.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Great. And a final thank you to all who tuned in for this 3 questions video interview. We'll see you next time.